you everyone for joining us for our EPIC CBO TA webinar. And today we're going to talk about the intake process flow. I know there's been a lot of conversations about, when do we send, which form, what are we responsible for doing, and what, DHS, what's their role. And so we met with DHS and specifically Alan Summers to get approval on this process. And so Dee and Deidre have put this process flow together. And so we're going to start out with going through this process flow, and then we're going to take a look at the tools that are available in Illinois WorkNet. Actually, they're on test, and we will be releasing them this weekend, so they'll be available on Monday for you. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dee so she can go through the process flow. And just to make sure everyone understands, this is starting at the point whenever they have been after random assignment, and they are definitely going to be assigned to CBO to be part of the EPIC services group.
Okay, so I'm going to move my screen. Hi, everybody, by the way. I'm going to move my screen and make it bigger. If you need to make it full screen, there is 4 little arrows pointing out at the top of this pod. So all you have to do is click on that, and it will take my screen to full screen so that you can see it a little better. I do have my document magnified to 190%, so hopefully everybody can see it okay. What we've done here is we've, as Natasha said, we spoke with the DHS staff that we needed to get this all approved so that we know exactly what the process needs to be to make sure that everybody is being taken care of appropriately in the DHS system. So in this first block, we have I need to find my mouse here. My mouse has escaped me. Okay. All right, so looking at I got to change my battery here, folks. Looking at the document in the upper left-hand corner, we have a green block that says that the customer has been randomly assigned to EPIC ENT. Then the DHS staff in this next block will make sure that they schedule the person with the scheduling tool, which means that we need all of the CBOs to make sure that they have appointments in the actual schedule. I know I worked with a couple of people last week before the holiday to help them get a couple of scheduling items done. So if you still need help with that, please send a message off to epic@illinoisworknet.com, and we will make sure that we can do a screen capture or a screen share with you or something so that we can talk you through this so that you make sure that you have appointments up on the blocks for DHS to schedule. If there are no appointments on the scheduling tool, they will be calling the primary contact for that program at the time of the appointment. So somebody needs to be able to answer the phone and know when the appointments will be there. Let's work down the positive side first. So what happens after the person is scheduled for the appointment, then they show up for their appointment. You will complete and upload a 2151 and a 2151A, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. And then you mark that the customer has been enrolled. The customer is immediately engaged down here at the bottom. Then if there are any changes to their time or activity or hours, you submit a 2151A. At the beginning of the month, you submit a 2151A for that the month coming up, planned activities. And then if there is the need for it or as required, there will be a document all of the documents filled out for a DHS/CBO staffing. So that's great. That's what it's supposed to do. That's how the customers are supposed to come through the system. Now, let's assume that the customer is a no-show for their first appointment. You have you are required to complete the 2151 within 48 hours of that appointment and upload it to say that the customer was a no-show. On that same document, you will recommend conciliation so that we can make sure that the customer gets in there. And this is very definitely for mandatory participants. We are in process of working out the same kind of system here for voluntary participants. Once you have submitted those documents, you can, as the CBO, continue to try to reschedule that person within 48 hours of that initial appointment. You want to make sure that you notate anything on the dashboard if there's something specific, maybe the person called 10 minutes after their appointment, whatever, and they just missed their bus or something. So you can note all of that on the dashboard under the case notes on the progress page, and then enter any explanation as needed. So to reschedule the person, we're following this yellowish-orange arrow down.
Hey, Dee, just
Yes.
for clarification, though, just so whenever when you said that you can reach out to reschedule within 48 hours, I just want to clarify, make sure that I'm hearing that right, is that you have a full 48 hours in order to be able to reach out to them to reschedule. It doesn't mean the meeting has to occur within 48 hours, but you have a full 48 hours to actually reschedule the meeting and let DHS know that the meeting has been rescheduled. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct, and thank you for that clarification. You can reach out to the customer by phone or email, add a case note for every time that you try to contact them. If you are able to reach out to the customer, then you will want to mail the customer a revised 2151 and allow 5 days for that piece of mail to get to the customer. Just a couple of things over here on the side. All of these goldeny beige colored items are all notes about each of the process items. Customers can agree to reschedule their appointment sooner than a 10-day time period if that's what they think they need to do. You just need to have that revised 2151 notate that the customer consented to an earlier time. So going down the positive side of the flow chart again, the customer shows up to the rescheduled appointment. You would complete a 2151 indicating that they did attend the appointment, and we have talked about completing the 2151s, but we'll have directions for that as well. And then you complete a 2151A and submit that for what the planned activities are to accommodate that customer for the remaining hours of that month at 20 hours per week. So if they come in today, for example, today's June 1st, they would need to complete 80 hours worth of activity this month to be in compliance. If they come in on June 22nd, they have a week left of the month. So then you would only have to account for 20 hours of activity. So you will need to upload the 2151 and the 2151A at the time of the person showing up for their appointment. If they don't show up, no, you do not upload a revised 2151 at the time of rescheduling. You just complete it and then mail that to the person, and then you upload the 2151 at the appointment when they actually show up. But the system will maintain that 2151 with that different appointment date in it so that you can print it or DHS can print it. Did that answer your question, Jonathan? The 2151 will let the customer know that the client has been rescheduled, and it will submit a case note.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things what will happen is that whenever you change a person's appointment, and we'll look at this on the tool, we look at the tools, but it's a good question. So the customer, you get a hold of them, they change the date. What you're going to do is go into that person's progress page, remove the existing appointment, add the new appointment time, and then that will create the new 2151 form. So, I guess we do. So then it'll change where they're located on the dashboard.
Yes.
So they won't be passed through anymore, but we'll have to. But I'm wondering if they do need to upload the revised 2151 form for DHS. I know they can download it at any time.
Maybe doesn't the schedule make an automatic case note?
It does make an automatic case note, yes.
So then
it does make an automatic case note, and it will move them back into the, in the appropriate area on the dashboard, so they're not marked as like past due or anything like that.
So then that would work. Then everybody just has to keep an eye on the dashboard. Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right. And then Eric had asked a question a few minutes ago about get a copy of this flow chart for non-mandatory areas. And yes, we are trying to get that approved right now. I had mentioned that a little bit earlier. So just to let everybody else know that maybe you were a minute or two late for the call. This is for mandatory customers, this flow chart right here, but we are working on a version for non-mandatory. We just need it approved. Okay, moving on. If the customer, now I know for a fact that I've shown up for appointments a half an hour late because I thought it was at 1:30 maybe, but it was actually for 1 o'clock. Well, sometimes people might remember that there was a 1 or a 2 in the appointment time, but they show up at 1 o'clock when their appointment was actually at 11 o'clock. So that's where we're coming with this part of the flow chart. A customer shows up to an unscheduled appointment. You have two options. You have a decision to make here. You can either reschedule them right then and there, and you hand them a copy of the revised 2151. Notated on the dashboard what happened, that they showed up late or showed up at the wrong time or day, and then you notate it in the case notes. And you need to make sure that you let the DHS primary contact be copied on this with the message and the email so that they do not proceed with the conciliation process. The other option that you can do is just complete the intake orientation right then. If you've got the time and the manpower and the capacity to do that, you can do that then. Then you would, again, complete the 2151 and the 2151A, enroll the customer on the dashboard, and then immediately engage the customer following the rest of those processes. Now, last but not least, the CBO rescheduled appointment, I'm sorry, that should say customer, so we do need to correct that. So customer rescheduled appointment is a no-show. Then we recommend them for conciliation a second time because they didn't show up to that rescheduled appointment. We notate it on the dashboard, and we complete and upload a 2151A indicating that the person is being non-compliant. So that's the process, that's the flow. All of this first chunk of this flow chart needs to take place within 48 hours. The actual appointments might not be rescheduled within that 48 hours, but the work to get it rescheduled needs to be. One of the things that we need to tell you on here is there are good faith reasons why people cannot make an appointment, and those good faith reasons are listed here. You need to use your best judgment to let DHS know whether or not it was a good faith reason or not. I know that in the Chicagoland area, we can have snow that can be tremendous, so there might be severe weather that is keeping people from getting to an office, or required court appearance. If they knew they had a required court appearance, maybe they needed to schedule a different time when they were at the DHS office. So there's different reasons. Some of them are not for you to decide whether they're good ones or not. They are for you to put into the document what their reason was if they showed up or not showed up. One of the other things that you need to understand is any change in hours or activity, this box right down here at the bottom, meaning a person goes from training to work experience unexpectedly. You need to submit an updated 2151A to their files on the dashboard. So do we have a question here. So do we have to give the customer a copy of the 2151 for the first appointment? DHS will be giving them the 2151 for the first appointment because that first appointment is scheduled while they are still in the DHS office. Did that answer your question, Nellie?
And the CBO will be required to respond, yeah, within 48 hours of the first appointment by uploading the 2151.
Now, the first appointment might not be within 48 hours of them being in the DHS office. It's when their appointment is scheduled. So if they were in the DHS office last week, but the first CBO appointment isn't until today, then you as the CBO would be responsible for uploading that 2151 by Friday the 3rd. All right, is everybody clear on that? Can we have a show of hands? Raise your hand if you're clear on what that all is. All right, so it looks like almost everybody listing is good, or else they don't know where the little man with the raised hand is. He's at the top of the screen. Okay. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to minimize my screen here, and we'll move Natasha's over.
Okay. So I'm logged into test, and I'm logged in. I go to my dashboard. I'm then on the enrolled dashboard. And you'll notice that, or those that have been working with the enrolled dashboard will notice there have been some changes. And we have, let me zoom in. We have the first section is referral pending, appointment has not been scheduled. Now, moving forward, pretty much everybody should have an appointment scheduled. There may be a few instances where, if you as the CBO didn't, had some or, didn't have an appointment time that would work with one of the customers or not enough appointment times open, that they may not have been able to actually schedule the appointment during the DHS meeting. But for the most part, if we have all of our appointment times in the calendar as the CBO, then we should pretty much be able to keep this to a minimal number. But go ahead, if you see somebody that doesn't have an appointment time, go ahead and reach out to them and schedule. And if you can't get a hold of them, contact the DHS person and, have them reach out and connect with that person to try and get that scheduled. So then we have referral pending, and the appointment's been scheduled. And so that means that the appointment has been set, but we're not to that date yet. Then we have referral pending, and you need the 2151 form. That means that the initial appointment has occurred, and it's within 48 hours. And so you're still in the white section, which means that you still have time, but you need to upload that 2151 form. So one of the big differences that we had with our last dashboard with this new release that will be coming out on Monday is that now it's time sensitive. Before it was just your yellow or your white, FYI, but now we've added the time sensitive piece to this. So you have to upload the 2151 within 48 hours of that initial appointment. Then we have our next section, which is referral pending, which means that the customer has their initial appointment date, and either you didn't have, if you weren't able to, or you didn't upload the 2151, or maybe they didn't show up, that we have those people will show up here. So if it's been 48 hours past the initial appointment and there's no 2151 form, that'll show up in this page, on this line. Then we have the referral pending recommend conciliation. What this means is that the customer didn't show up for their initial appointment, and when you uploaded the 2151 form, you uploaded it within the 48 hours, and you indicated that you had no contact from the client. So what this means is that DHS will follow up with that customer to reschedule them for the second appointment, or they'll go ahead and proceed with sanction. The next item, I really hope we pretty much never see anyone in this line item, is referral rejected. And this is a last resort for the CBOs. I know that many, the downstate CBOs have the option of putting people in other training programs. If you don't have that option, and the secondary option is to put them into employment-only services. And if that just isn't going to work for whatever reason as a last resort, then you can mark it as referral rejected. And what that'll do is send a notice to Commerce and the Illinois WorkNet staff, and so we can take a look at that, the request, and follow up with why is it being rejected, and then we can work with the DHS staff to see if there's another CBO that this person can be referred to, but really that is a last resort. One of the reasons why we definitely do want to track this too is because we're in the process of referring, using the application and so forth to make recommendations to the CBO. So we want to make sure that, we do really do our due diligence to investigate why that referral will not work, and so that we can make changes on the front end to ensure that we're making good recommendations. The next one is that the initial appointment has occurred, and you've uploaded the 2151, hopefully within the 48 hours, and you have indicated that the person has either you've started services or the assessments have been complete, and but the next step is you still have to technically enroll them into the program. So that's why they're in the yellow section. It just simply means that you have some people that have the 2151, but you still need to just technically enroll them into the program. You have your green section, which means that they have the 2151 and they've been enrolled into a program. And then the next line item is a new line item, and this will be something that is completed by DHS, and we've given them a tool to identify if a person is SNAP eligible or if they have lost they're no longer SNAP eligible. And so we've gone through, the different scenarios. Well, what happens when a person is no longer SNAP eligible? And just as a quick review, the person can complete the training that's already been paid for, but additional services cannot be provided for that person or paid for. And but it's really up to the CBO to determine whether or not you're going to exit them from the program or keep them enrolled into the program. And that's really, up to you. I guess it depends. It's going to be a situation by situation. If they're only going to be off their SNAP benefits for for a little while, then you might want to leave them enrolled. If it's going to be an extended period of time, you might want to exit them. The next item is withdrew from the study. There is an option with the study that they can call an 800 number and to be removed from the study. And what we really want to do is, again, that's another last resort. We don't want them to be removed from the study. We want them to succeed and complete the training program. If they have been withdrawn from the study, then they can complete the training that has already been paid for, but no other services can be provided to them, and they will, after that, they'll need to be exited from the program. So the difference here is these customers that have hopefully temporarily lost their SNAP benefits, they can return to the program and complete it later on. The people who withdraw from the study cannot return to the program. Okay, so with our dashboards, you'll see that, again, these are all yellow, and it's not until we get to this green line. These are the people that pass through to the next section. And so for the next section, it's this is the 2151A section, okay? So one of the things that we didn't either communicate or clearly communicate earlier, or I was even under the misunderstanding, I was thinking that the 2151 was reporting on the hours that they have completed, but actually whenever that first through the fifth, what you want to do in that initial the initial 2151A and then the monthly 2151A that you upload between the first and the fifth of the month, those need to be for planned hours, what they're planning on doing. Now, if something changes during that time period, then you can always upload a 2151 form to let the DHS caseworker know that that has changed. So again, this is on test, but you can see and we're doing testing now. So you can see that pretty much everybody is past due because everybody needs to have their 2151As uploaded. So you'll see that, again, it's a green section. So our green, we only have one person here. So again, we only have one person down in this section. All of these areas down here are populated whenever you upload the 2151. And so that 2151, this section right here will always be populated by the most recent 2151A form that you upload. Okay, so let's say that on the first of the month you put, I don't know, minimal progress. But then, on the 15th of the month you made some changes and you said that now you moved them up to acceptable progress, then that will change for this month. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of our people. And I had a person up earlier. Now let me go to the person I was looking at earlier. Okay. I have them as. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and pick a person. Fine. Okay, so what you can see is this is the progress page. One of the things that we added here is the eligibility status, SNAP eligible. So whenever you go to this page, you'll see that this person is eligible if the caseworker indicates that they are ineligible, hit update, and it'll be red, plus it'll say SNAP ineligible. If we go to look at our enrolled dashboard, it should show up that I have a person that is not SNAP eligible. I can't remember if it was test person 2 or not. Okay, so I'm going to make this person eligible. It doesn't lock up the person's account, but it is available, just as a general rule of thumb, always look to see when you go to this person if they have that, if they're not eligible. Plus, we send out messages as well to let you know that this person is not eligible. Plus, we have the case note. So you can see that I marked this person as SNAP ineligible. You can see I'm logged in as a training account. And then almost immediately I marked them back as SNAP eligible. We still have our DHS contacts and CBO contacts that you can update. Again, you'll only be able to update your CBO contact section. Then we have the initial appointment information, and we have two things here. So what we have is the 2151 form. If you have a person that you have previously saved their 2151 form, in order for it to populate the dashboard, you're going to need to download the 21, this is for your new people, but you'll need to download the dashboard. And then whenever you are filling out this form, you're either going to say that the customer or the client has their assessment was completed, or their client surface was initiated, or that there was no contact from the client, which will start the conciliation, or the referral was rejected, which means that the Commerce and DHS will be reviewing the information to make sure that you have, they'll be reviewing the information to see if it's appropriate to move this person to a different CBO. So let me go ahead and just save this. So I saved the document on my computer, and notice that I'm doing this in Adobe Reader. It needs to be updated in Adobe Reader. Then I'm going to upload that form. So let me go to that place. Place I just did. I'm going to upload the form. And you'll see that whenever I upload that form, it gives me the date. And now you'll have a referral status, which is a little bit different because it selects the status that you had put, as your response to with the 2151. So I had indicated services initiated. I have the PDF version that I could download and take a look at. And I can see any notes that I added, and I can see who uploaded that document. And it also creates a case note, so you can see when I uploaded that document. In some cases with these forms, you're going to have a signed version, and in not all cases, but you might have to have something where they have to disclose, like, give permission to disclose this document, this information to either, DHS or to you, and then they would have to sign that document. If you needed to do something like that, you can have them, have the signed document, and then you could scan it in, and then you can upload that document. So you can upload, images and so forth using this button. But the main button, and we might need to make an adjustment to this, But the main thing that you want to use is this button, because this is the one that checks to see where the document, what options were selected on the document, and this is the one that populates the dashboard. Again, this is all on test, so we can update that information. Once they have an uploaded 21